Hello and welcome to Powell Guitar. I'm bringing this video to you in the last week of February 2020. We're just coming out of winter season here in Des Moines, Iowa and other places in the Midwest, and I thought that maybe perhaps this video could be of benefit to people who live in the Midwest climate with care for the guitar in the wintertime. Over the past winter months with my students, I've had a couple of instances where I've had to make an example on a student's guitar, and I've noticed a thing that's been going on with some of my students who are newer to the instrument. And so I have this Epiphone here to show you what I'm talking about. This is a trusty, rusty old thing made from Japan, Epiphone. Sounds great. Anyway, one of the things that my students will bring, if they say, hey, is it my guitar? Is it my guitar that's not letting me play what I'm playing? And sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But one of the observations that I make independently from their question is that in the wintertime, I can go like this and sort of feel the frets, what I call biting out from the fingerboard. What's going on with this is in the drier months here in Iowa and in the Midwest, anytime something out of wood would get dry, the wood will tend to shrink. The metal parts, frets, tuning pegs, stuff like that, those don't shrink, and what ends up happening is the metal stays where it's at and the wood gets smaller, and that is no good on anyone's instrument. I've observed this with electric guitars, with classical guitars, and with steel string acoustics. So one of the things that I like to always talk to with my students is that this is something that can be fixed and adjusted very, very, very cheaply and effectively. You could go on probably any one of the catalog sites and type in guitar humidity, and you're going to get some strategies that range from $5 to, I saw one thing that was almost $100 for humidity care and control. And I think that there is a much simpler way to handle it than that, and here's what I'm going to show you. So I went to Walmart and I spent, I have enough to make 4 different humidity kits here, and I spent $7.27 grand total. So I divide that, for about $2 a piece. You can outfit your own instrument. What I have is a travel soap case. It says soap holder like this. One of these things that open up. It's plastic. Okay. I have some sponges right here. Oh, I guess there's 6 to this package. I could have made a couple more. And then I have just a drill. Got a scissors. So basically, what I'll do is show you what to do with this to make a humidity kit for your guitar case. So we're going to start with basically a 1/4 inch drill bit here to drill a pilot hole, and I'm just going to approximate. I think I'm going to do 3. We'll do a total of 9 holes and see what that looks like here. So I'm going to use the smaller bit right here to start my pilot hole. Okay. This really may be just fine rather than the... I'm going to go in the center here. Let that tool do the work, Watch those fingers. Okay, doesn't have to be pretty. Tell you what, we're going to go ahead and not use the masonry bit with this one. take out the gunk. I suppose I could really get fancy and use some sort of a scraper to get that off there. I may do that at a later time. Here's my sponge. And essentially what I want to do is I want to make this fit. If I tried to cram it in here, it's not going to work. So I've got to cut off just a little bit of this here. And this is just approximations, just sort of look, you know. You take a little bit of that. There we go. Take a little bit off here as well. Okay, make sure it fits in there snug. That looks pretty good. Then what I'll do is I'll run this under the water, squeeze it out, and then put it in here. All right, so one of the last pieces of the puzzle, and this would just be optional, it's how I prefer to do this in terms of monitoring the humidity. This is the what's called the Thermo Hygrometer sensor, and I got a 3-channel unit. I got it off of Amazon. Here's the base. It shows the large number is the temperature and the relative humidity for the room, and then this one down here is the one that is for this sensor. This is right here. I've got 2 other ones for 2 other guitar cases. So I put these both up in the head. This is the device we just made. We take both of those. Then you simply go ahead and put the guitar case back together, and then you can monitor with your guitar shut. And I find that really useful, especially if I'm using a certain guitar for a performance for a couple of weeks, and then, you know, I can monitor humidity with leaving the guitar in its case. Well, there you have it. 4 humidifiers made out of sponge and travel soap containers. Again, I use these in my classical guitar cases and in my electric guitar cases. They work great. You can't just blindly put humidity in there. The other thing I do have, and I'll put a link to the actual product that I bought on Amazon. I have, they're basically outdoor weather stations. I think it was for about $40. I got a great big master sensor. They all run on batteries, and then they show a digital readout of the humidity for each case. You can do it a different way by having humidifiers in the case that actually you have to open up each one, but this way I can sort of monitor it at home without having to get into each case every day. So that's just a strategy that I use. The experts that I know here at a couple of the guitar shops in Des Moines, they all recommend between 40 and 60% humidity. So I think, you know, it's not something you need to, you know, obsess about, but I do think being proactive about the care of your instrument, I think that will save you in the long run. For example, and I'll just tell a really quick story. I was obsessive about this in the 1990s, and in fact, my last year at Simpson College, I stayed in that one of my professors went on sabbatical, and I had a pretty elaborate humidification system set up in the room that I was occupying. And I did not know this until after, but Dr. De Palma, Maria De Palma at Simpson College, apparently I had done so much humidity in my room that it actually took the wallpaper off of her walls. And I laugh about that now because she never had the heart to tell me I ruined one of the rooms she was in. I think she wanted to re-wallpaper anyway, was really the scoop of that. But in any case, there is a point when it's too much, and I think what ends up happening, just like the wallpaper lets go, you can overdo it with your instrument, and then your glue joints in your guitar will start to separate, and that is also no good. You don't want that. So I think that's why we're saying the 40 to 60%. But with my Ramirez guitar, I have a 1998 1A, a special. It's a Pride and Joy instrument. And I was having some problems with the playing action. And of course, that instrument, there's no truss rod, not really much you can do. And anyway, I took it to an absolutely wonderful human being up in Boone, Iowa, named Richard Vance Clark. He's a luthier as well as a watercolor artist, and I would highly recommend looking him up. I'll put a link to him in the comments section. At least I think it's a link to a news story about how you can get in touch with him. He's a wonderful guy, does excellent work. Highly recommend him. In any case, he took my Ramirez, which should be a very, very, very easily playing guitar, and I was having some problems with it. And he, he just basically said, "Hey, you are not treating this guitar correctly in terms of humidity." And I said, "Well, we live in Iowa. What's the big deal?" And he says, "Well, that is the big deal. You need to make sure it's regulated." And we had a wonderful conversation, and he did some work on the instrument for me. But I guess my point is, had I kept up with humidity like my other instructors before had told me to do, so basically I went overboard when I was a kid, thought I knew everything, and then sort of didn't do enough over a long period of time, and then my guitar, the playability really changed on it. So bottom line, keep your guitar 40 to 60% humidity. If you see issues and problems with your instrument and you cannot repair it yourself, I would advise you to go get it checked out. Get it checked out right away by someone who really knows what they're doing, and don't delay. Happy playing, and we'll see you on the next episode. Subscribe to my channel, ring the bell for updates, and happy playing. We'll see you around.